Is stress, overwhelm, the pressure of life, burnout, fracturing your relationships? Are you feeling distant from the people that you love the most? Now, in this episode, we unlock a really powerful practical strategy, a tool that goes way beyond words to restore intimacy and connection, even when you feel so totally disconnected. Now, this technique applies to all relationships, from intimate partners to work colleagues, and I cannot wait to explore and share this with you today. Stay tuned. Are you a big hearted, ambitious woman feeling completely fried by overwhelm and burnout? Do you crave a life of purpose and joy but feel stuck in a cycle of stress and exhaustion? Welcome to Burnout to Bliss, the podcast that empowers you to finally break free, reconnect with yourself, and create a life you absolutely love on your own terms. I'm Dr. Fee, and I'm passionate about helping women like you pour love into themselves first so they can actually enjoy their success and embrace their bliss. So get ready to expand your life beyond what you thought was possible in healing, love, leadership, success, purpose, and wealth. Hello, everyone. I'm recording this after an incredible break with my loved ones. It's been school holidays here. We went hiking in the bush for a couple of nights, carrying our backpacks and swimming in the water holes and stargazing each and every night. Oh my gosh, it was so glorious, especially like lying in the tent and looking up. We didn't have the fly on and just, shooting stars and all the things. It was so, so, so special. Now, I have a really powerful conversation and training to share with you today. But before we get started, if you're listening to this in real time, when it's published this week, you'll absolutely will want to know about an incredible offer to join our Bliss Sisterhood for just 33 Australian dollars a month. Oh my gosh. Normally it's 108 US dollars per month. And the reason why I'm sharing it with you right now is today's episode and what I have planned for you next week ties in so well with our monthly theme. So let me tell you a little bit about the Bliss Sisterhood. It's a place for big-hearted, ambitious women who are daring to be great for themselves, their family, the world. We love to help, we love to love, and we love to help others. But we know that it's got to start with pouring love into ourselves first. But, we may struggle to do this in a meaningful way. Yeah, especially in a society and culture that normalizes self-sacrificing survival state, right? How stressed are you? It's kind of where it is a badge of honor. Now, each month in our Bliss Sisterhood, we cover a really powerful theme that relates to overwhelm and burnout, that relates to healing, leadership, success, loving life on your terms. And, we've just done August Ascend, which was all around the physical body and optimizing your metabolism and looking at your hormones as this beautiful symphony. January was Unstoppable Grace, where we're really tapping into that confidence and conviction and self-belief, and we'll sprinkle in challenges, and oh my gosh, it's incredible. But this month, it is our Open Heart, Open Mind October. It's a month that is dedicated to healing your heart and opening yourself up to new opportunities. Now, you might be wondering, how do those two relate? Why would healing my heart actually create a shift or doors opening or experiencing new opportunities in my life? Well, today's episode will speak to this, okay? And I want you to imagine receiving daily coaching from me where I get to guide you through this process of really healing the heart. Plus, you get a monthly transformative session where we come together as a community. If you can't attend live, that's okay. You catch up the recording. And the sisterhood, it all supports profound healing. It's there to blow your mind, expand your heart, and there's so much more. Like, you get to access our membership vault, and it has over 240 trainings, which is like more than over $7,500 worth of value. Like, it's incredible. And like I said, all of this you get to tap into, you get to embrace, you get to binge watch for just 33 Australian dollars rather than the 108 US dollars a month, because I want this message. I really want this month's theme to reach as many of you as possible. And the reason is that over the last few weeks, I've had countless conversations with women who just they're struggling with overwhelm, burnout. They've done all the things. They're very smart, incredibly capable and intelligent, and wondering why it is that they're still feeling so exhausted and busy and stressed out and looking around and missing out on fulfillment. And there, as we dig into it and really explore what's underneath it, there is this sense of, oh my gosh, I am carrying around a lot of baggage. And we get to step forward to resolve that, and the process is to reconnect with yourself. And in that, in turn, what happens, we reconnect with our loved ones and life. We get to be more present and engaged in life when we're not carrying around bagfuls of shame and blame and anger and heartache. It does liberate us. And so if you are ready to, this is a beautiful process of loving yourself back to whole. And, it's a vulnerable one, but together as a community, it's a powerful one. And you can, just to get started, just click the link in the bio or head to my socials and DM me or jump in. There'll be a link there. And I can't wait to get started with you on this incredible open heart, open mind October. Now, today's episode, we're building upon a previous conversation around rekindling connection when burnout has taken its toll, like it sucked the joy out of your relationships. It's an important episode. If you haven't checked it out, do so. Now, we discussed in that one about how supporting ourselves deeply and meaningfully, not just on a superficial self-care, tick the box type way, how when we do this inner work, it actually transforms our relationships, even when we've tried everything else, like coaching and couple therapy and ultimatums. If you don't do this, then if you don't change, then I'm going to. So today we're going to dive even deeper into a key practical strategy for restoring deep intimacy and connection, to help you to come together as a team, to cultivate deep understanding, mutual responsibility, respect, to feel valued at home, at work, even when you're feeling totally disconnected. In fact, it's the thing to do if you feel disconnected, numbed out, or just like doing, like caught in the doing mode, survival mode. Now, this is a key principle. What I'm about to say, I want you to take note, and like, this is something that you get to take away with you. It's so important. And if you're a mum, you will have an experience where you just know that how much your children are plugged into you. They feed off us, right? I often call my children my barometers. It's like, how do I feel? Oh, okay, mummy needs to go for a walk. As I look over, my kids are sort of bouncing off each other. It's like, oh yeah, mummy might need to have to get outside and move her body and shift some of that energy. Now, it boils down to this. People don't just hear our words, they feel us. Now, if you have any sort of rolling your eyes or wanting to dismiss that because it's all a little bit woo, I'm just going to invite you to stay the course and lean in. Because people don't just hear our words, they actually feel us. People feel us, they notice us even before we've opened our mouth, even before they've seen us. You just got to play with this, be curious by this. And I'm sure there'll be times in your life, or you'll wake up to experiences right now where you'll be like, oh yeah, I could sense that before they even said something. Or you can sense that someone should say something, but they're not actually saying what they want to say, what they truly want to say. They're just saying the thing that they think they should say. And don't we get caught in that too? Now, people respond to our unresolved pain, and how they respond to that is often a reaction. It's often a negative, unhelpful, unresourceful, unkind way. And as a result, what happens is that we both get stuck, spiraling in old conversations, rehashing the same old arguments, not really hearing or understanding each other, and we just make no progress at all. In fact, we end up hurting each other way more. And it's not necessarily like, people will respond differently. How unkind, unresourceful, unhelpful ways play out. It might be that you withdraw. It might be that you pull back. It might be that you explode, you become more aggressive. Are you the aloof one or are you the aggressive one? Like, it's all this disempowered pattern that plays out in relationships. Now, whatever it is, whatever the poison is, after supporting myself and hundreds of women through this, I know that transformation, healing, and it's not just about, getting some change happening in your relationship. This is a conversation about rediscovering, reigniting that spark. And it's absolutely possible, even in the most challenging situations. I have supported women, lots and lots of women in burnout have they experience absolute disharmony in their relationships, and so many have been on the brink of burnout, of divorce. I've been told, Dr. Fee, we made the decision to separate this week, and that has happened in countless clients. And I just say to them, okay, just wait. Like, let's get the burnout to bliss process started. Let's do this one-on-one work. Let me help you with this first, and then let's explore and see what happens from this work. And so it's absolutely possible, but it does require a shift in your approach. And for them, now I'm not going to say you do all what that I'm talking about and there's a guarantee that you live happily ever after. Oh no, that's not what this is about. But if you really care about the relationship, or it's important because it's jeopardizing your enjoyment at work, or it's like holding you back in career progression, or it's taking a toll on your confidence, or it's making home just full of conflict and disharmony and just not moving the needle, and no one's changing, and oh my gosh, you're just like the relationship's becoming very fractured, then this is an important conversation and something to explore. So today we're going beyond this process of just talking about the issues. Okay, I'm all for that, but actually what I want us to focus on is getting better outcomes from all of the effort and energy that you're investing. And let's be honest, sometimes it's a lot of money too, especially if you've been doing couple counseling or leadership coaching. Okay. So, a common pattern I see, and I'm going to call it like the default human program. Actually, I'm going to call it the human flaw, because it's often what it is a flaw in this tendency. It's getting caught in the blame game. We take things so personally. We rehash old arguments when we focus on who is right and who is wrong. You're wrong, I'm right. Does any of that resonate? Like, I want you to think about the last argument you had with your partner or a colleague. Where was your focus? I'm sure the conversation, if it was an empowered conversation, fantastic, go you. But generally, if you're tuning into this, generally the conversations are going to be at that level of, wait up, it's not my fault, it's your fault. Don't blame me, I'm not wrong. I want you to understand me, I'm right. Now, I remember, and look, here's the thing, I might be touching a chord here with you, and it might feel very vulnerable, and just keep leaning in. Okay, honestly, it's such an important conversation to have. And if you feel a little triggered or activated by it, because the truth is it might be playing out in your life right now, just know that as we have this conversation, or you develop an awareness of what is in your control and the inner work that we're about to talk about, it can be a little confronting, but on the other side is everything you're seeking. Okay, so I remember when I was first pregnant with Jarvis, who's my eldest boy, and my closest friend Shushi, she gave me some really invaluable advice. And she said, Fee, she said, like, I know everyone will offer advice, and I told myself that I wasn't going to give you advice, but I just can't I just can't not say this to you. This is what I absolutely wish someone had told me. And she said, Fee, just don't get in an argument with Nick about who's more tired. It never ends well. Just accept that you're both tired. And that was her word of advice just before we had our firstborn. And such great advice, isn't it? If you've been there, you know how incredible that advice is. It perfectly illustrates how we get stuck in really unproductive, unhealthy, unkind loops, even with the people that we love the most, because we're tired, hurt, stressed out, feeling misunderstood. And here's the thing, if you're feeling, overwhelmed, burnt out, exhausted, stressed out, chances are, and you're in relationship, chances are your partner is. And if you're feeling it at work, chances are your colleagues are too. Okay. Now, our ego absolutely loves to be right, especially when we're depleted. It's like this drive to keep us safe and protective. Okay. But honestly, this is the big question. How often does that being right approach get us what we truly want in our relationships? Rarely. Now, momentarily, you might feel really freaking great. I know it. I know that feeling. I get it too. You might feel like justified, like, yeah, I tell you, like I'm speaking my mind. You might experience this fleeting sense of relief or power or like, but like reality then sets in. Nothing changed. Nothing changes another person through setting ultimatums. And well, rarely. I mean, you can, but it's not necessarily an empowered relationship or an empowered way to move forward. Now, there's going to be circumstances where you need to have strong standards and boundaries, of course. And I'm not speaking to that. I'm speaking to most everyday situations, okay? But generally, you know, if we just focus on that and who's right, and let me get you to understand that I'm right and you're wrong, you as a relationship you haven't moved any closer to what it is that you desire for the relationship. Have you even thought about it? Like, have you even thought about what you actually want from the relationship before you go into it? That's going to be what we discuss next week. And so when nothing then changes, what happens? All the stories, all the narratives, all the negative self-talk kicks in, like, it's broken. He doesn't care about me. He's never going to change. This is never going to change. I've tried everything. It's hopeless. Or we project really, really harshly. I know this, I've experienced this. We project onto the other person, and we can turn them, someone that we love, into an adversary, into our enemy, into the person that I know I love you, but oh my gosh, right now I can't stand the sight of you. Right? So reflect on a recent conflict. Was this your pattern? And if so, you're not alone. Oh my gosh. I have. Most of my clients experience this, and it's a really complex conversation and topic. And there's several key elements that contribute to deeper intimacy and connection. And I'm going to cover one really key one today. And then next week, we're going to really look at other strategies that really support having the conversation. And these are ones that these work not just in your intimate relationships, but they also apply to work conversations too, like any interpersonal conflict. Okay, so the first key to really cultivating deep intimacy and connection, even when you're stuck in absolute disconnection with the other person, the first key is self-preparation before the conversation. Now, here's the truth. You wouldn't go into an important meeting at work unprepared, would you? Chances are you would spend a whole lot of time getting prepared, researching, writing out a framework, getting your head around it, thinking about what is the best way that I deliver my KPIs or all the things, right? These crucial conversations are no different. In fact, the more important. They are more important, are they not? But, trying to communicate when you're fueled by anger and you got a fire in your belly and you're so, your heart's full of resentment and hurt, it's like building a house on sand. It's so freaking unstable. It's bound to collapse. The conversation is not going to end up where you want it to go. And this is where inner work is absolutely crucial. There is no way around this. And you might be like, well, why should I do the inner work? Why shouldn't he or her or them do the inner work? Why is it just me? Well, it just depends on what you want. What do you want? Do you want to move the relationship forward, or do you want to keep playing in that default game of who's right, who's wrong, and end up in this vicious cycle? And the truth is that sometimes we get a lot of emotional payoff from that conflict, this is something, as a side note, I wasn't planning to talk about this today, but I have spoken about emotional needs. And when you look at if we have a primary need for fun and variety, this is non-negotiable. We need fun and variety. And this is one of my key emotional needs. And if I don't give this to myself in a healthy way, yeah, like planning adventures with Nick and sitting down for beautiful conversations and, just sprinkling in magic and spontaneity and like time with my boys and time to just get out into nature, then I'm going to get that emotional need met one way, and often one way or another, healthy way or unhealthy way, for better, for worse. And we can create a lot of drama in our relationships because we get something off it. And that was my pattern. Inner work is crucial. Going on a process of self-discovery isn't just for you. It's about how you get to show up for your loved ones, for your children, for your partner. It supports how you show up as a leader. It supports how you get to claim wealth on all levels in life. So giving yourself the space to process your real human experience. Being in relationship is challenging. We'd love it to all be peace, love among beings. I've been now with Nick for over 19 years. We're celebrating 20 years next year. And honestly, like, absolutely, conflict is a normal part of evolution and intimacy and going deeper and deeper and deeper into love, unconditional love. It's not to judge or criticize or pull back from, but we want to navigate it in the most resourceful way. And so we need to have that space to process the moments where you do feel hurt and give space to forgive ourselves, what we've said and how we've behaved and what we did or didn't do. Often there's been times where I've gone, oh, I didn't hold standards for myself. I didn't implement boundaries. I didn't ask. I didn't receive, you know? And it's also about giving yourself space to forgive your partner or the other person that's involved. And this is how we release these painful triggers that when they get poked, we lose our head and we react and we get caught back into this drama. And, this inner work is what creates the foundation of absolute strength and clarity. Meditation, deep breathing, these are helpful tools. I'll talk about a few more coming up. And just remember, it's not always what you say, but how you say it that makes all the difference. Coming to the table from a place of lightness, full open heart, full heart, more tolerance, feeling compassionate, that makes all the difference. And I don't mean superficially telling yourself, I'm okay. And so many women in survival states, because they've just been so disconnected from their heart and, emotional needs and emotional nature, they are like, I'm fine. But actually, they're seething underneath with anger and resentment. It's there, it's festering. It takes courage to actually tune in. Instead of telling yourself how you are, just asking yourself, how are you? Now, true acceptance and forgiveness is key. It's an embodiment, it's a process. It's like, quite simply, I'm sure most of us can understand what it feels like, to say I'm grateful, but to actually feel grateful. It's a different experience. Same too with I forgive, I accept. It's different to really feeling, accepting, and forgiving. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a really heavy weight into every conversation. Like how I started this episode with talking about like holding on to bagfuls of emotions. And like that was my experience in burnout. Oh my gosh, just carrying bagfuls of like shame and anger and resentment and heartache. I felt so depleted and bent over and just like so out of sync in life. And I just knew I had to let go. I thought it was something that I could either numb out from, run away from, try to ignore, but it just ran and just got louder and louder and louder. Hello, burnout. All of that clouds your judgment. It makes you really freaking defensive, right? Reactive. It prevents you from truly hearing in the other person. There's a difference between listening and hearing and understanding and processing, right? Being present. And sometimes we actually cling, and this is a big thing with big hearted, ambitious women. We hold on to, we cling, we identify with our own mistakes. Like we just cannot give ourselves a break. We kind of love punishing ourselves over and over and over and over. And so we will enter into conversations riddled with guilt. We end up overcompensating, like giving more. And then we spiral into this like even more mess, right? We ultimately make things worse. We feel worse. We were guilty, and then we are frustrated, and then we overcompensated, and then because of the guilt, and then we got really angry with ourselves because I shouldn't be doing that, and we just become this experience of ick. All that ick underneath the surface. True acceptance and forgiveness, when you experience and embody it, it creates this beautiful opening. It helps you to feel centered, calm, confident. When have you accepted something or truly forgiven? It feels good, right? It feels so good. And if you haven't, I'm going to invite you to experience it. Set it as a thing that you get to experience in this life. And the only way that you learn to forgive someone is by someone actually hurts you. Like, if you think about it on a soul level, here we are all having this human experience, and maybe one of our karmic lessons is to learn about forgiveness. Well, guess what? We're going to have an experience, a classroom, a life classroom where someone does something pretty horrible. Because it's only in that situation that you can really learn about forgiveness. And it's a gift. Once you understand the power that comes from forgiving, and it's spoken about in all of the spiritual scriptures from all traditions, forgiveness. It's for you, not for them. It is reclamation of your power. It's liberation of your power. It's something so incredible and important. Now, on a more tangible level, of course, if you are no longer fighting, resisting, and caught up in that stress and anger and triggered experience, physiologically, you're in a much better way. And so your brain comes switched on. You're more able to see the situation clearly. You can communicate more effectively. You're more open to understanding the other person's perspective. So in turn, it makes it easier for them to understand you. It melts away the wedge. It breaks down the defensiveness. It builds a bridge between you for genuine connection, mutual understanding. Like, let me hear you. What are you saying? Oh, we're like really working together. And here's the key: after genuine forgiveness, your words, what you say, how you approach, the things you do, it's going to shift dramatically. I'm sure we've all experienced this. Now, one thing that I just love, and I'm going to invite you to play with, is just noticing how we can say something, but it land very differently. A simple, like, hey, is everything okay? It can land really differently depending on whether it's fueled by anger or genuine care. Or, like, have you ever asked anyone and said, oh, is everything okay? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. That can land very differently than, yeah, it's fine. One has a different feeling to it. Yes, the intonation, yes, my body language could be different, but there is this felt sense, but also this essence that you can pick up on. And I'm going to invite you to play with it. And if you're feeling like it's a bit too woo, well, sweetheart, tune into it. I get you. And I'm going to say, if that's the case, if you're stuck up here in the mind, stuck in the brain, thinking continuously, the way through burnout is beyond the mind. Okay. So I'm going to really invite you, if it feels challenging, lean into that, because often that's the thing we need. So imagine approaching a conversation filled with resentment. What happens? My tone is really sharp. My body language is closed off. I'm braced for battle. What happens to the other person? They sense it and they respond defensively. I tell you, Nick will pick that up. Take a deep breath. Here we go. What are we up to now? How he's about to tango with me. Now imagine approaching that same conversation from a place of forgiveness. I'm more relaxed. My physiology is relaxed. I'm calmer. I'm more open. I'm more patient. My words are carefully chosen. I'm more gentle. I'm just generally, my energy is more, it's just more beautiful, more receptive, and the other person feels this, and they're way more receptive, and we get to respond versus react together. And so, again, people feel us, our energy, our intentions, our emotions, and forgiveness transforms not only us, but the entire dynamic. And it's not a destination, it's a practice. I don't want you to just to think about it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, forgiveness is good. Okay, I forgive them. It's not as simple as that. It's not something that you can just force. You can't just let go, forgive and let go. It's a process. It's a practice. It requires time. It requires patience. It requires a massive, like the biggest dose of self compassion. Okay. And it's not about condoning the other person. This is the biggest barrier. So let me just say, what is the biggest barrier to people embracing a forgiveness practice? It is this sense that if I forgive them, then I condone their hurtful actions or I minimize the harm that they have done to me. And the reality is, if you've been stuck in a relationship that is, with a narcissist or someone who's been intentionally malicious, or you've lost people you've loved because of that other person, I mean, this is not, this is not all peace, love, and mung beans. This is hard. But forgiveness, like the essence of it, it's not anything to do with them. It's not about condoning hurtful actions or what they've done is right and, they should be all live happily ever after. Love has boundaries. Love can have some of the firmest boundaries. When I've supported clients and they've had to implement like legal measures to create boundaries, and or their partners have had to go to jail because of domestic violence, it's like love has boundaries. You do not. This is not all about forgiving them and let it all be peace, love, among beings, and then back in your life. Hell no, sister. You keep them away from you, but you forgive and you move on, and you ensure that those boundaries are in place to keep you safe. And the reason why I'm so focused on supporting them to forgive, to move on, is because it frees them. It frees you, it frees me from the burden, the bagfuls of pain and heartache and all of that we can do, that we can carry on, and it taints the rest of life. It's the most beautiful act of self-love, self-care. It's a way of reclaiming your energy, your emotional well-being, because you only have a certain amount of personal energy. And if it's bound in past hurt, shame, blame, all the mistakes, all the things that you failed, all the things that they've done that hurt you, and the resentment, it is depleting, it is exhausting. And in turn, you get a physiological shift. It impacts your sleep. You wake up with brain fog. You start packing on the weight. It impacts your metabolism. It impacts your mood, all of it. And forgiveness creates the space, the lightness, the peace, the genuine connection. It helps you to move forward. And look, I'm going to be really, really, really honest. It can feel like a monumental task, especially after deep hurt. It's not about flipping the switch, but it's about gradually like meeting yourself in this. And it takes time. And I'm going to also invite you to think about forgiving yourself first before you try to forgive others. You cannot give what you don't have. And often in these life classrooms, we actually get to start with forgiving ourselves first, especially if it's been a difficult or challenging situation. Maybe we stayed for too long. Maybe we didn't take the necessary steps to look after us. We didn't speak up. We didn't stand in our power. All the things. Liberate yourself, reclaim your power, give yourself some forgiveness. Sweetheart, honestly, building a regular forgiveness practice, it's something that I do all the time. It is essential when it comes to claiming life on your own terms. Meeting yourself every step of the way. It's incredibly helpful. So let's look at what that might be. Because as you're tuning in, you might feel inspired to be like, okay, well, yeah, I could do some self forgiveness. And I want you to, one way that you could approach it is a visualization. You can imagine, you can tune in and see the heaviness, as a dark cloud, and it lifts as you forgive. You say the words like, I accept and love and forgive myself. It might be that you journal, you write a letter to yourself, self forgiveness. Or you might write a letter to someone else to forgive them. I've done that many times, especially to my husband, but I don't give it to him. I just pour it out. And forgiveness is for me. so that I can see clearly and I can have an open heart, open mind. It might be around cultivating a different self talk, a compassionate self dialogue. Like, talk to yourself with kindness, understanding, and say those words. Like, acknowledge how you feel. And then remember, we all are human, making a hell of a lot of mistakes. And, and we get to forgive ourselves in that. It is what gives us freedom to grow. And mindfully, being very mindful to breathe and notice and tune in and release the resentment, feel your feelings. That's going to help you to release and release and release. And these practices are so incredibly effective on their own. Sometimes, though, we all need extra support and guidance to navigate the big emotions or the deep hurts or the deeply ingrained patterns. And in my work with my clients, like, I have seen firsthand again and again and again and again how powerful a forgiveness practice can be, but also how challenging it can be for people to do, especially when burnout has completely sucked all of your emotional reserves and energy reserves dry. Got little in the tank, right? And so that's why in Burnout to Bliss, which is my 12-week deeply transformative journey, I do teach powerful forgiveness tools that accelerate the process, because I weave in not just mind, but also the emotional felt sense work and energy. And these tools are really profound, you know, they accelerate the shifts that happen in your energy and your relationships. And they do go beyond the simple journaling and visualization, although that is incredibly important. So do that. Like, last week I wrote a forgiveness letter to myself. Okay, so do that, it helps. But obviously, in that work, in my Burnout to Bliss journey, that in the way that I support my clients and the one-on-one work that I do with them in that process, I mean, we are there to identify and really heal the root causes of the resentment and the heartache and the break and the baggage of shame and blame and self-blame and self-hatred, to release that so that you can move forward with greater clarity, compassion, and confidence. So if that one-on-one work or Burnout to Bliss isn't something that you're ready for, and you're struggling with overwhelm and the impact on your relationships, guess what? You're going to come and join us in our Bliss Sisterhood. As I started this conversation off, it's all about Open Heart, Open Mind October. It's a month dedicated to healing your heart and opening yourself up to new opportunities. I hope through what I've described and shared with you in this episode, you understand that we have a choice. When we heal our heart, it is about embracing all of that stuff that we are been shoving down and ignoring and suppressing and trying to put to our mind and be like, just ignore it and pretend. And you end up in relationships with all these dysfunctional dynamics and coping strategies playing out. And it's just not what you want. It's not what's the best for either of you. And when we really go within and we focus on healing our heart, then all of the energy that has been invested in all of that past experience, emotion, and pain that we've been trying, it's exhausting trying to hold it down. Well, now we have it. Now it's free, liberated, and it's there for us to co-create incredible new opportunities. And like I shared at the start, you get to have daily coaching from me Monday to Friday, guiding you through this process, a monthly transformative session that is just so incredible. This is consciousness work, energy work, and felt sense work. And there's more. You're going to get to plug into our private podcast. There's a vault of over 240 trainings. I mean, that's more than $7,500 worth of value. So it's a big deal because you get it for just $33 Australian dollars this month. And the reason is I just want this work to reach as many of you as possible. So jump on in. And if you want to explore working one-on-one with me with that Burnout to Bliss journey, then you can book a free 15-minute discovery call, and the link is in the bio. And it's a beautiful way to connect and really get clear as to what that next best step is for you. And so I'm going to leave it as that. Next week, we are going to go into a whole nother layer around cultivating empowered relationships. And we're going to focus really more on specific points when it comes to the strategy of approaching a big conversation. Having that conversation with your loved one, with your work colleague, in a way that is going to support you to move towards what it is that you actually want. Okay, so I'm just going to leave you with this final note. Remember, you absolutely deserve fulfilling, heart expanding relationships. And this tool of forgiveness and what I share with you in subsequent podcasts absolutely will help you to build them. And that's my prayer for you. So wishing you a great day and can't wait to connect with you in the Bliss Sisterhood soon or on a discovery call. Bye-bye. It's been so beautiful spending this time with you. If today's episode sparked something within you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share the love. Are you done feeling overwhelmed and burnt out? If you're craving a curated, holistic framework that addresses burnout on every level, body, mind, heart, and soul, to get you claiming your life on your terms, then my Burnout to Bliss program is perfect. Apply for a free breakthrough session with my team and let's deep dive into your unique situation to help you reclaim your energy, joy, and power. Now, if you'd prefer to get a taste of what's possible, then come join our amazing Bliss Sisterhood. It's our low-cost, high-value monthly community membership, and you'll find the links to both in my bio. So stay tuned for the next episode where we'll unlock even more secrets to living a blissful life. Remember, you are powerful beyond measure. Take care.